Hey, have you ever felt like saying something is very good in Portuguese just doesn't quite capture what you mean? Well, in this explainer, we're going way beyond that. We're going to dive into the world of Portuguese superlatives so you can really express the biggest, the best, and yeah, the absolute worst. Let's get right into it. Just think about this for a second. There is a huge difference between saying a movie was bad and saying it was the single worst movie you have ever seen, right? One describes a quality. It was just bad. The other ranks it against everything else. Well, guess what? Portuguese has a specific tool for each of those jobs. And that's really the main idea here. It's not just about slapping very in front of every adjective. The language gives you a whole system, basically two different ways to talk about extremes. And once you see how they work, your Portuguese is going to sound so much more natural. Okay, so here are our two main tools. First up, you've got the relative superlative. Think of this like a competition. It's all about ranking things to find the most or least in a specific group. And then you have the absolute superlative. This one's more like a spotlight. It doesn't compare anything, it just shines a bright light on an extreme quality. So, let's start with ranking. This is where the relative superlative comes into play. Its whole purpose, its entire job, is to look at a group of things and pick out the winner, or, the loser. And the formula? It's actually super simple. You just take the right definite article, o, a, os, or as, add mais for most, or menos for least, and then you just stick the adjective right on the end. That's it. Pretty easy, right? Let's see how this works. A normal adjective like alto for tall follows the rule perfectly, o mais alto, the tallest. But the ones you really want to watch out for are the irregulars. You don't say o mais bom for the best. You have to say o melhor. And same for bad. The worst isn't o mais mau, it's o pior. Nailing these is going to make a huge difference. Here we go. A perfect real-world example. Mas o Nuno é o mais alto de todos. See what's happening? We're comparing Nuno to a specific group, de todos, of all of them, and he comes out on top for height. That's exactly what the relative superlative does. It finds the number one on the list. All right, time to switch gears. We're moving away from ranking things into pure emphasis. The absolute superlative couldn't care less about the rest of the group. All it wants to do is shout that something is extremely good, extremely bad, or, well, extremely anything. And you actually get two different ways to do this. The first way, called the analytic form, is a piece of cake. You just put muito, which means very, in front of the adjective, so muito fácil. The second way, the synthetic form, is a little fancier. You drop the muyo and you add a suffix like ísimo right onto the adjective, which turns fácil into facílimo. So check out how these look next to each other. You can say muito difícil, or for more punch, dificílimo. And just like before, you've got to watch those irregulars. Muito bom becomes ótimo, and muito mal becomes péssimo. Honestly, you are going to hear those last two all the time in Portugal. I really love this example because it shows you how people actually talk. They'll start off simple with muito difícil, and then, to really drive the point home, they'll upgrade to dificilísimo. It's kind of like saying, oh, it wasn't just very hard, it was on a completely different level of hard. Okay, so now we have our two distinct tools, one for ranking and one for emphasizing. So what happens when we put them together? Let's take a look at how they work in the same sentence to make a point even more powerful. This sentence is just a perfect demonstration. First, the speaker gives their strong, emphatic opinion using an absolute superlative, péssimo, terrible. Then they back it up by ranking it against every other movie they've seen using the relative superlative, o pior filme, the worst movie. See how one emphasizes and the other justifies? It's brilliant. And here's another fantastic example of that. Muito antiga, or very old, is a general description of quality. It's that simple, absolute superlative. But saying it's a mais antiga do país, the oldest in the country, gives it a very specific, verifiable rank. It's not just old, it's literally number one. This one's awesome because it really highlights the difference between just having a quality and holding a rank. Just because he plays well doesn't automatically mean he's o melhor, the best player. The whole point of the relative superlative is to make that specific distinction. Who is the top player in that group? Okay, so let's wrap this all up. Think of these concepts as two essential tools that you can now add to your personal Portuguese grammar toolkit.
So, tool number one is the relative superlative. Just remember, this one is all about ranking. Anytime you want to say something is the tallest, the fastest, the best, or the worst within a specific group, this is the tool you're going to reach for.
And tool number two is the absolute superlative. This is your go-to for emphasis, when you're not comparing at all, but you just want to describe something with real intensity. Saying it was excellent or terrible or just extremely difficult, this is the one you want. Knowing this is the difference between saying a meal was just muito bom, very good, and being able to declare that it was ótimo, truly excellent. And maybe, just maybe, it was also a melhor refeição, the best meal you've ever had. Now you have the tools to say exactly what you mean. So go on, give it a try.